everybody, representing Provenance Vie Saine for a healthy lifestyle. I'm here to teach you guys the final favorite of the beginning yoga poses, and it is called, well, actually it has many names. It has been called the Reclining Queen, most commonly by myself. I've also heard it called the Supine Cobbler's Pose. The Sanskrit term is Supta Baddha Konasana. And essentially, that means that we'll be lying on the back and we'll be bringing the bottoms of the feet together in a similar way that we do in the butterfly pose. Okay, so let's start from a seated position. I'll show you guys how to safely get into and back out of this wonderfully rejuvenating pose that not only helps to open the hips and chest, but it also improves posture, and it's a great pose to hang out in to really focus and meditate on the heart chakra. So let's join together in a comfortable seated position. From a comfortable seated position, we'll go ahead and transition down to a supine position. And I wanted to be able to show you guys how to do that because a lot of people don't realize that there is a right way and a wrong way to get up and down from the mat. And the right way, of course, is by slowly and gradually transitioning down using the core muscles, of course, to protect the spine. Okay, especially in yoga, we will always want to be aware of the spine. We always want to keep the core muscles engaged to make sure the spine is in fact straight and protected, so it will get stronger and healthier. Okay, so what that looks like for this transition is basically putting some weight on one of the hamstrings. Okay, so we'll slowly and gradually roll down using the strength of the hamstring muscle to push into the hands, thereby allowing us to kind of work against gravity and just nice and fluidly make that transition to the mat. Okay, then once we've reached the mat, we can go ahead and bring both legs flat to the mat, and we can just kind of hang out in this corpse pose while we establish that deep belly breathing pattern. Okay, so if you remember in yoga, of course, we start each breath from the belly. When we are ready to transition to the Reclining Queen pose, we can start by putting a bend into both knees and then shifting those hips so that the low back, well, the entire back, is flat to the mat. Okay? We'll keep those feet hip-width apart, and then we'll slowly bring the bottoms of the feet together and allow the knees to open and relax down to the sides. Okay, this is where we really get the opening of the hips and the hip flexors, and the inner thighs get a nice, fabulous stretch as well. Okay, but if this does not feel comfortable, we can do a couple things to help take a little pressure off the inner thighs and the hip flexors by supporting under the knees. Okay. So if we had a couple yoga blocks, we could put those under the knees for support, and that really feels fabulous. If we do not have a yoga block, we could just take some towels or blankets or pillows, really anything that just gives a nice little cushion for the knees. Okay, another thing that we can do If we have any issues with the low lumbar spine, we can elevate the hips with a blanket or a pillow. And what that'll do is, it'll help keep that back nice and flat against the earth. For the arms, let's go ahead and bring them out to a T so the wrists are straight out from the shoulders. And then we'll put a 90-degree bend in the elbows so that the wrists are straight up from the elbows, and then the elbows are straight out from the shoulders. This will help open the chest and really illuminate the heart chakra. As we continue to hold this fabulous pose, we can think about the things, emotions associated with the heart chakra. The heart chakra is that area in the center of the chest where we hold all those feelings of love, compassion, and acceptance. Let's allow each breath that we take to remind us of the love, the compassion, and the acceptance that we have not only for ourselves, but also towards others. Breathing into love, compassion, acceptance. This is another one of those poses that we really can just veg out in for as long as we have time for, basically. So when you do decide to transition out of this pose, let's first bring the knees back together and the bottoms of the feet to the mat. And then we can go ahead and bring the knees into the chest for a nice little counter stretch before we come up to a seated position. Notice how I have my hands rested on the hamstrings to take pressure off the knees. The knees will stay hip-width apart. And if we wanted to, we could gently rock from side to side to give that low back a nice massage. When we are ready to come back up to a seated position, let's go ahead and bring the arms up first. Roll over onto one side, and then use those hands to help push yourself back up, nice and slowly, to a comfortable seated position. Thanks for practicing the Reclining Queen pose with me here on Provenance Vie Saine for a healthy lifestyle. Namaste.